Hey guys, I'm Todd Michael Putnam, founder and admin of D&D Creative Table Designs Facebook group, and I'm also the author of Creatures and Catacombs, a 5e homebrew rule supplement that you can download absolutely free on dmsguild.com. And I commissioned the creation of what I call Todd tiles. These STL files that you can print out, you can download them absolutely free on bangs.com, and I'll have all the links for this stuff below in the description. But these are elevation tiles. There's many different shapes and sizes that are included. You can download and print them out and use them to create tabletop elevations for your adventure role-playing games. But what I want to talk to you about today is over the years, a lot of people have seen my builds, and they've often wondered what it would be like to play in some of my games in a tabletop heavy type setting. So I can't actually do that because I play in my living room. I don't have room for a camera crew. I don't have the equipment to do that kind of stuff. But what I can do is I can walk you through one of my adventures. So that's what we're going to do today. Is we're going to walk through a little adventure with the camera going at the level, as it were, of what your characters would be going through in a dungeon adventure, the way I would run it and the way that I would describe it. Um, so strap yourselves in if you're interested, and we will check out the Mines of Madness. And the Mines of Madness is a relatively simple story, to at least to begin with, where the town has hired out the adventurers because mines that they'd been working for years had been producing good gold and also iron ore. But suddenly, a few weeks ago, the miners started disappearing, and then about a week or so after that, some of them started running out of the mines screaming because they were going crazy, and then they would just drop over dead, talking about horrifying creatures. And people didn't know if the mine had become cursed or whether or not there were ghosts involved or something, but they definitely needed to hire some adventurers to go into the mine and figure out the mystery of the Mines of Madness. So get ready and let's enter the mines. Welcome to the Mines of Madness. And the real adventure begins several hours after the adventurers have actually entered into the mines to try and discover the source that was causing miners to disappear, and then eventually some of them to run screaming from the mines in terror and agony, and then drop over dead. After the players spent several hours going through multiple shafts of mines, because it's an old deep mine system, they eventually get to an area where they come across a couple of dead bodies of miners. One of them doesn't appear to have anything wrong that can be seen with him except a look of horror on his face, and his skin is tinged a grayish green color, but he's been dead for several days. And the other one has the same appearance, but his leg has been literally bitten off by something. These guys have been dead for several days now, and it's obvious that it's more than just ghosts or fear or anything that's gone through the mine. They can see real casualties have taken place, and so something has infested the mine. As the players head along further down the mine shaft, they come to yet another overturned mine cart, pushed up against a narrow section of the mine shaft, and two dwarven tunnel guards lay dead around it. It's well known that respectable, large run mining operations often hire dwarven tunnel guards just in case the mine runs into like a kobold mine shaft or orcs or something like that. And so these two were stood ready to do their job, and apparently died trying to defend the miners against something that took them out. They too have a strange mottled gray-green color to their skin, and their bodies are bloated. And it definitely looks like from scrapes and claws on their armor that some kind of creature got hold of them. And as the players go extending around on this side here, they'll see that there's mining supplies and stuff, and there's yet another person who appears to have died of either wounds or starvation. They can't really be sure, but he's bent over, doubled over, and he's got a little bit of that grayish green tinge to it, to his skin as well. But he doesn't seem to have anywhere near as many claw marks on his body. So poison looks like it could be part of the thing that's going on here. As the heroes continue on down the mine shaft, they'll come to a section here where they can see yet another overturned cart and some supplies, but something very interesting. There's bodies of miners, what appears to be webbed up of some kind, and when they cut through and open up the webs, the miners are still alive, but they also have that grayish green tinge to their skin, and they are completely unresponsive, except for every now and then their bodies will just twitch a little bit. And there doesn't seem to be any way that they can resuscitate them. Whatever poison or disease is coursing through their body, the cleric isn't able to heal. And something has definitely gotten a hold of them and put them in the state and has webbed them up. The mine shaft goes off to the left and to the right. It's when they head to the right, they come across and it opens up into a natural cavern. And in this natural cavern, it's all kinds of busy with giant red ants who have taken over this cavern and are busy gathering up food and scurrying around doing the things that giant red ants do. This whole hive is just absolutely infested with them. You can see where miners might have at some point been going in here because there are some little deposits of gold and ore here, but it's very clear that the red ants have taken over. And as they continue to go around, it starts getting warmer and warmer. It starts getting downright hot. And eventually, they come to an area where the shaft where the cavern cups off, and you can see a strange creature, giant insect-like creature that they've never seen before, chewing away on the remains of one of the fire ants. And when it sees the heroes come, it kind of pulls back into this corridor and continues feasting while keeping an eye on the heroes. So it's eating its meal. No one's ever seen anything like this before. No one can figure out what it is. It's got a chitinous exoskeleton to it, and these giant claws and big mandibles. And it definitely looks like a fearsome creature as it took out one of the giant fire ants to have its meal. But as the players continue along, the source of the heat becomes clear. Part of this cavern gives away, and you can see when they look out the blazing heat of this giant magma flow, a river of magma in this open area just kind of courses through as far as they can see. And there's a strange buzzing noise as well, and they can see through the mist and stuff, the vapors of this cavern, they can see some kind of like magma flies that are buzzing around and looking for prey, but they don't seem to stray too far from the magma itself. It's almost like they're like mephits that have been mutated in some strange way. But now they've taken on more of an insect-like shape to them. As the heroes continue through, they pull back around, and they eventually come to this area here, which is the chamber for the giant red ant queen, where she's been laying her eggs busily, and the players, of course, fight her off and dispatch her because she immediately begins defending her throne room or her egg-laying room, and they take her out. But that being said, spiders definitely don't use webs, and that other creature that they've seen before, they don't know if it does webs or not. So something has cocooned these other creatures, the miners, and they still have to figure out what that mystery was. It's possible that the ants could have caused some of the problems and attacked the miners for sure, but they wouldn't have webbed them up, and they're not aware that the venom would do that kind of a thing. So there's still a bit of a mystery going on, and the heroes have to come along. That's the whole cavern right here for where the ants are at, in this whole section right here. And so the players have to backtrack because they know that there's still another section of the mine shaft. So they come back to this area that they've investigated before, and from there the mine shaft cuts around. They come back to here. There's just some more supplies and stuff. But lo and behold, when they follow this one down here, then they run into a set of burrows, naturally dug, not dug from like what kobolds would do, but dug through by some kind of giant insects, probably the type of creatures that they saw before, that green one that had the chitinous exoskeleton. And looking around, they can see that there's a number of them, and they hear that sound going on, and this is where they need to investigate. And so they decide to go up the mine shaft and come around following the chittering type sounds, and they come into this kind of a monstrosity. They see yet another one of these creatures, but this one doesn't back away, and he faces off into this tunnel and tries to hold the players off as much as he can, guarding something. Eventually they push him through and are able to defeat him, and they can come and they see more webbed up victims, some of them strung up against the wall, kind of like alien-like, like in the movies. Most of the other ones are just all webbed up and just very weakly struggling, but none of them seem to be consciously aware at this point anymore. Whatever venom courses through their bodies is just, it's taken away their conscious thoughts, and they're just laying there inert for whatever their fate might be. One presumes that they would be eaten at a later date, like spiders do. But of deeper concern is there is a pit trap that the players find, and it is clear that no one else could have been in this mine and would have had time to dig this pit trap and create it other than these insect-like creatures. And so it deepens the mystery of what's going on, because there's a level of intelligence that's showing at work, that they can actually create traps, because these creatures are able to crawl around the walls and on the ceiling, but any invaders are more than likely going to be coming across the floor, at least humanoid types, and so these creatures were able to do a pit trap. Even more concerning is that there's a section of the cavern that opens up inside of this hive, and there's a glowing black and red obelisk right at the center of the hive. It's out of reach, and there's making this low, moaning, pulsing sound very slowly, almost like a slow heartbeat. And as it pulses and stuff, it just seems to almost be like a heartbeat to the hive itself. But the wizard says not to touch it, because if this thing is causing insects to mutate or whatever it is, and they were to crack it or to break it open, it may expose them to whatever it is, magic that's mutated the insects. And instead of slowly mutating them over time, it could mutate the players immediately. What they need to do is just clear out the nest as fast as they can. And so they try and cut open these victims here as quickly as they can, and leave them behind, and then head up to the next level of the hive. As they go up from this floor to the second floor to the third floor of the hive, they come across eggs, egg sacs, and a different type of insectoid-like creature. And the wizard now starts to get a suspicion, seeing as how this one is different than the others. He's wondering if this might be from the Scorpei insect race. And the Scorpei are a series of insects that they literally lay their eggs into some of their victims in order to create new mutations of their own race, so that they can get like worker insects and fighting soldier insects and queen insects and all the various different types, so that they can do specific tasks. So again, we see some victims that are here, and we assume that it's so that when these eggs hatch, that the creatures can come out and they can just eat their victims alive and grow, which is deeply concerning. As the heroes continue along, they then come across this fighting beast. It's colored different than the other. It's got a purplish black color to it. It has the same chitinous exoskeleton as the other, but it's much faster, nimbler. It's got a scorpion-like tail on it, and it's just brutal. And it's a fantastic tunnel fighter, and the heroes have to battle it in a closed area and try and work past it, so that they can explore and destroy the rest of the hive. Eventually, they come around and they see the hive. There's another one of these creatures, but something even more concerning once they battle. The second one of these comes to mind. They see new creatures they see humanoid-like creatures that have the beginnings of an exoskeleton growing out of them. And the wizard says this probably confirms that what his suspicion was indeed. When the larvae hatch, they don't eat their victims. They attach themselves to the victim's spinal cord and they begin mutating them into a new version of the species. This is going to be a humanoid version of the species, bipedal, that stands up and gives them a different type of soldier to work with. So the Scorpei appear to be absorbing human and demi-human DNA, if you will, and mutating to have different types of soldiers that can fight and have new and different capabilities, which leads to the great fear that some of them might have innate magic, like from sorcerers and things like that, built into new breeds of the creature, making them fiercer than ever. So, of course, they stomp out the eggs and try and free the victims that they can, the ones that already have the Scorpei larvae attached to their spinal cords. They can't really do anything for, and they can only mercifully put them out of their misery. Above them, looking down from above, on the 5th level of it, is the Scorpei queen. And when she sees that they're attacking down at this level, the heroes are attacking, she will jump down and she gets into the fray itself because this is her hive colony. And she attacks the players to try and save what she can of it. And then following the rest of this around, it comes down to more of these creatures. Some of whom have fallen over. There we go. More of these creatures, more people to save, more eggs. This one here doesn't have stairs going down. It literally has like a drop off, and there's a column that you could climb down, spying through with the rogue. They come down and they can see that there's more of the worker guys that are here, and there's a first floor for other storage and stuff that the Scorpei are using. But that remains the hive itself at this level right here. And having taken out the hive, they would think that that's probably it. But the question becomes, what else of it? Why are they growing the colony? Is it just because they got invaded in their minds by the miners, or is there something else going on? So when the heroes follow to see where the rest of this tracks go, to see if there's more hive colony here, it instead actually drops down into a cavern, a natural cavern, much larger than the one that the fire ants were in. And this is a cavern filled with arachnids and deadly millipedes and centipedes, skittering about the entire cavern floor and on the walls and on the columns. It's just a complete arachnid colony of a variety of spiders and centipedes and millipedes, all of them very deadly. And it appears that from what they can see here, some of the spiders have been webbed up, and it looks like the Scorpei have been feeding off of these spiders for quite some time, and the mixture of venoms that they've been getting from the centipedes and millipedes and the variety of spiders is part of what's created a new venom that they're injecting into their human victims of the miners when they catch them. So they go and they clear out this area as best as they can. And eventually they begin working their way through as they clear out the caverns. They come into yet another opening, and this one here, the heat starts to catch up with them again, and it again opens up into a large cavern that is filled with underground magma flow, and the heat is absolutely searing. It's just brutal. It's wicked hot. They can feel the sweat bead on their brow as soon as they get close, as their body works hard to cool themselves, and they decide quickly to just move along and head down this cavern to see if they can find anything else of the hive. When they get to this area here, they realize there's another opening, and they meet this. They see a stone-made bridge And as soon as they see that, the whole game changes. Because while the Scorpei are intelligent and they were able to make, a simple pit trap with spikes and stuff in it, there is no way that in the short time they've been absorbing human and demi-human DNA that they would be able to have the ability to create an actual man-made type structure like the bridge that's crossing the magma. And so there's some other colony or civilization that is down here that has buttressed up against the Scorpei colony, and it's quite possible that the Scorpei have been at war with whoever that is defending their territory. And so here we can see the heroes attempting to cross the bridge as quickly as they can, dodging the magma flies and the searing heat. But as they get to the center part of the bridge, all of a sudden arrows start shooting at them from this section over here. And when they go charging through, they see a group of snake-like men wielding bows and shooting arrows, defending their territory, trying to put a rain of arrows onto the heroes crossing the bridge. And of course, they do battle with the Yuan-ti and take them out. And things have just gone from bad to worse. They come down this hallway and they find another small guard room with Yuan-ti snake people. They're here just making sure that the frontline areas of the Yuan-ti Empire or temple system is safe. When they come back to a dead end and they come down here, eventually they come to another room where there's a pair of other Yuan-ti archers that have reddish scales to them, and apparently they are more adapted to the great heat, and they give no quarter until they are destroyed by the heroes. Following the pattern of the tunnels even more, they come to yet more Yuan-ti. And it's clear that this is no small primitive settlement, that the Yuan-ti have been here for quite some time, that their architecture is well done. And when they get to this one here, they see a door that is very ornate, which means it's leading closer and closer to the center of the Yuan-ti temple. So they come around this corner here. They see the most fearsome sight so far. We see a giant constrictor anaconda type snake in a temple room that also has two Yuan-ti blade masters, and they are guarding in front of a door that is a black door with a red snake circling around in it, and they fight to the death to protect their homeland and their temple from the human invaders. Having defeated them, the heroes then go through and they see a temple system with white marble and a giant statue of a Yuan-ti god with 3 snake heads on it, wielding flames in one hand and a scimitar in the other, made of black obsidian stone. And in front of it, there is some kind of a Yuan-ti priest and his acolyte. And they wield magics to do everything they can to stop the human invaders and the hero invaders who are desecrating their temple with their sacrilegious presence. There's only one way that's out of that particular temple, other than going back the way they came. And it circles around here, and it goes up a long hallway on the right until eventually it comes to a double door, and that door has 2 keys to it. 2 keys that won't open unless they have both of them. It's huge, thick iron metal. There's no way they're going to break it down. And they realize going back that they pull one of the keys from off of the neck of the Yuan-ti priest who guarded the first room that they went into. And eventually the players come around to another chamber. And in here is a second Yuan-ti god temple showing a Yuan-ti god created all out of gold
and he's similar to the other one, except he wields a green flame, and his skin is golden colored, but he is also a three-headed snake creature, and he is being attended to by a Yuan-ti priestess and his acolyte. This one too, also once slain, the priest has a key around its neck that allows it to go back. There is another door right here on this side of the temple, but it requires 3 keys, and they have 2 that seem to fit, but the third key, they don't know where it is. They go back and they backtrack to this area here. They open up the doors to the temple, and that brings them into the Yuan-ti the main Yuan-ti temple, where the great priests and emperor of the Yuan-ti and this particular colony exist, and they have to do huge battle. There are a number of monsters in here, of course. There's one of these giant snake guys. I'm tired, so I can't remember what their name is, anathemas or something like that. And of course, they have a large poisonous snake here that they'd have to contend with. And then there's the high priestess, who is basically some kind of a Medusa type thing. And then there's the empress and the emperor, who's also some kind of a sorcerer, and some bladed guys going down here, some typical Yuan-ti goons. And that covers this main area here of the temple. When they do their fighting and stuff in there, once they finally defeat everything, if they're able to, they realize that there's no actual treasure that's kept in this area that they can find, but they do find yet another key around the neck of the high priestess, and so they go and follow it back to the other doorway, because that makes the third key. Come back into this room, and they get to the third door here, and when they open it up, there's one final battle against a Naga spirit guardian type thing, and it is here with all of the temple treasures, and it guards it quite zealously. But once they destroy this creature, then the temple itself will have been completely wiped out. It needs to be sanctified and stuff in order to destroy all the blasphemous altars and stuff for the good gods. But this is what the whole thing looks like. It took me about 7.5 hours to build this. It's mostly Dwarven Forge, but the bridge in the center is WizKids. The LEDs are part of the Dwarven Forge. There's a number of different tile sets. There's just the standard dungeon tiles. There's the temple tile set from Dungeon of Doom. There's the Hellfire Kickstarter, not Hellfire, the Hellscape Kickstarter set that was in here. There's the Burrows set for this insectoid mound that I got going on. There's the standard cavern sets that are in here. There are 3D printed stalactites and stalagmites. Those are from Skyless Realms Kickstarter. They had from EC3D Designs. They make great stuff. I highly recommend you check them out. And then also the mines themselves are actually from Printable Scenery, and these are World War II trenches, but if you paint them upright, they're kind of passable as mines. So I use them for that, and that's the whole segment. How do I run something like this? Obviously, you got to use black poster board to cover up areas so that they can't see as much of it as you can. Large boxes and stuff can be used to cover up this, or a towel or something like that can go over the top of it. It's all actually pretty sturdy, and as players get into certain areas, that's when you uncover it, which allows them to see what's going on. There's no way you could build this as you're doing it. It would just take too much time. So I do it by covering stuff up and then uncovering it as the players are going through stuff. Some of the larger set pieces, I like the columns and stuff. Those I would just lay down and covered by the poster board. And then when they get to that area, take the poster board off and stand the columns up in a couple of quick seconds, and you're in business. They're all LED lights, so you can turn them on before everybody shows up, and they obviously don't show underneath the black poster board. And when you pull them out, pull the poster board off, voila, you're in business. This Hellscape Kickstarter from Dwarven Forge, lava shows up great, and that is AC powered. It's not battery powered, so that's just got a little cable going on here, and there's a potentiometer right there that you can use, and you can turn the brightness of the lava up or down to make it hotter or cooler. Never actually cool, obviously, but cooler. And that's basically the way I run it. And as far as the good old-fashioned question of, well, what if the players decide to go left? Which I think I've heard it countless times now. I ask the players at the end of each session where they want to go, and then whatever they vote to decide to do, that's the adventure that I build. So I don't have to railroad anybody to coming to this big set piece. I never waste my time building something that the players didn't say that they didn't want to go to investigate. Now, they may not know what they're going to get into. They certainly wouldn't know that they were coming into this. They just think they're getting a typical mind adventure. And instead, I can surprise them with something like this. But that way, I'm not wasting my time building something that they're not going to see. And I don't have to railroad them into doing it. I asked them where they want to go, and then that's the adventure that we play. So that's the idea behind it. I hope you enjoyed the Minds of Madness. It was certainly a whole lot of fun to build, and I appreciate any feedback that you have. And please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I've got a whole bunch of other videos, and of course, don't forget to check out D&D Creative Table Designs or my Instagram channel, Todd Michael Putnam, for a lot more of my content. Thank you so much, and I will see you next adventure. Take care. Bye.